Hi everyone, I'm just about to start this video, but I'm doing the introduction the following day, so excuse the no makeup. As I was researching this video for you all, I started to look at apps that would help you to choose makeup online. And there's so much out there that what I'm going to do is a continuation to this series. And I'm going to look at apps that are available and technology that's available. I just logged into one that's available in the UK because a lot of them are only available in the US. One of them that's called Slap, and it's got Charlotte Tilbury foundations on it. Now, having said that, it only had Light Wonder, it didn't have Magic. But I downloaded the app and took a photo of my skin tone to see if it would work and if it would match me. And it got almost all of it right. So it suggested the right flawless filter for me. It suggested the right retoucher for me. And it suggested the right airbrush flawless finish powder for me. What it didn't suggest was the right Light Wonder foundation. It said I'm a shade 4, which I think would be very pale for me. But it was interesting, so I thought I'd just let you know about that. That one's called Slap, and I'll put the details below because I haven't seen one that actually features Charlotte Tilbury products up to now. Okay, and I know you're all Charlotte Tilbury fans. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It is a bit long, and I did it in dribs and drabs yesterday, but you just have to excuse that. I'm really tired, and having come back from quite a long drive on Tuesday. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll do another video about apps and technology that can help you choose products online. Okay, shortly. Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My front door is still open, but hopefully we won't get too much outside noise. I'm going to do this video in dribs and drabs today because I'm really tired out from yesterday, but I want to do it. But I think I'm just going to do it. So the reason I'm telling you that is just to explain if the lighting suddenly looks different, it's because I've stopped and I've started to do the video a bit later on in the day so I can collect my thoughts. Okay, so today what I decided to do is I'll put a choice to you guys about doing the Golden Goddess or doing a video about how to choose makeup online and in store. And a couple of you said that you'd like a combination of the two, and one of you said you'd like the makeup online and in store. So I thought what I'll do is I'll hold off with the Golden Goddess, and I'll do that on Saturday. Definitely do that on Saturday. And I thought because otherwise I don't think I'm going to be able to talk you through all this stuff and put on my makeup. Certainly today is not going to be a day for multitasking. Okay, so yeah, so that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how to pick makeup. And I thought, first of all, we'd start with how to pick makeup in store. Okay, because we've all kind of, we've all been there, haven't we? But before I do that, I've got to tell you about this really great exfoliator that I tried, and I got some, and honestly it's absolutely amazing. Now I'm going to try it on my hands. I'll just show you what it looks like on my hand, and I'll take a before photo, and then I'll put it on this hand. So have a look at these hands here, right? Oops. Yeah. And I'll take a before photo, and then I'll put it on this hand, and I'll take an after photo, and you can have a look. All right, it's really good. Okay, so let me just come off and I'll take a photo. Just to let you know, guys, which hand I'm doing, so we don't get confused. I've just put a brow pencil, so this is the one I'm going to put the exfoliator on. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to rub some of this exfoliator. I'm going to rub it onto my hand here, right, and really rub it in. It's really brilliant stuff. Right, okay, It's quite gritty, but it really does a good job of sloughing away those skin cells. Okay, right, now what I'm going to have to do is go and wash that off. I can wipe some of it off, but I'll just go and wash it off. I'll be right back. Okay, I've just taken a before and after picture, and I'm not sure if you can see it on there, but let me just zoom in on my hands. That's the one I've done with the exfoliator. Yeah, and this is the one I haven't done. Can you see the difference? Like, this one is a lot pinker in colour, and this one looks a lot drier. Isn't it a really, really good? Look at that. Look at the difference. It's amazing. So you can see how it's brought out my complexion, and it's really made the skin moisturised. Sorry, there's my mark. Okay, do you want to see this exfoliator? You do, don't you? Cooking oil and table salt. Sorry guys, I duped you. And I'll tell you why. I have actually fallen for this on more than one occasion, right, when I've gone out shopping. I bought a really, really cheap, nasty exfoliator once, and it was because of that. If you rub anything gritty onto your hand with a bit of oil in it, you are going to get that. You see them doing it on QVC, you see them doing it anywhere, and your skin is going to feel softer because your hands get rough throughout the day and you build up a lot of dead skin. And if you put salt and cooking oil on your hand and not on the other, that is what you're going to see, a really big difference. So do not be fooled into thinking it's the product, which I have to say I have been more than once. Now, I want to add a little something here, because last week someone did it to me again. But when I looked at it, there was more than just moisture. There was a lovely sort of diamondy fleck you could see, and there was a different finish you could see. So definitely look at the finish. But if somebody tells you, oh look, that one's so much pinker, that one's looking dull and grey, and look how brightening that one is, that's what salt and cooking oil did. All right, rule number one. Sorry guys, I had to do that one on you. Probably a lot of these things sound really obvious, and I'm not insulting anyone's intelligence when I say this, okay? I'm just sharing the things that I have learned over the years, and you probably learned them too. And please put your tips below. But just in case you've not thought about this, I'm going to put the tips about what to do online. So basically, do your research as though you're going to do an online shop, which I'm going to do in the second half of this video. And so that when you actually go, so say you've done your research and you've decided it's between NARS and MAC, okay? Look at the one that, you know, read up and decide which one you want. When you go there, say, actually, I've had a look online. I've got combination skin, and I think from looking online that this one might be the best one for me. Now, they may disagree with you, and of course they're experts. I'm not saying that they shouldn't disagree with you, but what that tells them is that you've done your research and you're not just going to be sold anything, okay? And I know I'm sounding suspicious about salespeople. They're not all that bad. Not tarring all salespeople. Please don't take offence. But let's just look at worst case scenario. I'll give you an example of this. I went to buy some perfume for my mother long time ago now, probably about 15 years ago. And my mum had a particular favourite perfume. And I won't mention what it was or the company, not into naming and shaming. But anyway, She really liked this perfume, and I wanted to treat her. It was coming up to Christmas, and I went up to the counter and I said, "Do you have this perfume?" And she said, "No." She said, It's been discontinued, that one, a while back now." Yeah, but I tell you what, it's very similar to. It's very similar to this. And she talked me into buying it. And a couple of weeks later, I found out that it hadn't been discontinued. Now, I was absolutely fuming. My mum had already opened the perfume. She told me she loved it, which of course mums do at Christmas. But I was fuming that basically I had bought her a perfume that she didn't want. And she was being polite and telling me it was lovely, but she would have far rather had the one that I knew she loved, which wasn't discontinued. So, I've had that happen to me. I'm not saying that happens all the time, but I always go in with a degree of suspicion. And a lot of the time I'm proven wrong. So please don't think I'm tarring everybody with the same brush. So basically, do your homework. What I wish I'd done that day is to go online and check out the prices, and I would have discovered that actually that product hadn't been discontinued, and they probably just didn't have it in stock, and she wanted to sell me a perfume. So, I take some of that responsibility on myself. Or maybe she actually genuinely believed that it had been discontinued because she hadn't seen stock for a long period of time. And I always like to look at the most positive scenario. She may have only been working there a couple of weeks and not seen that perfume, and therefore thought it had been discontinued, rather than actually lying to me, because that's a bit of a risky strategy, isn't it? Let's face it. So there are all sorts of things like staff turnover where they may not know about the whole product line. So do your homework. And certainly with foundations, what I would do, and I will talk you through this in a minute, is I go along and say, right, I've been looking at this foundation, and if they say, yeah, that's a good one for you, I say, I've actually looked up the shades, and I didn't want to buy it offline, but it was between these two. And that tells them that you kind of know your skin tone, or, that you got pretty close to it, so you're not going to end up with one that's wildly off. Okay? Certainly with foundations, that's something to do. Okay? And I will talk you through how you do online shopping for foundation in a minute, so you follow all those steps before you walk out the door and go shopping. I would like to say that from personal experience, I've always found the MAC staff very reliable in the choice of foundation. I've never walked out with one that's too dark or the wrong colour, so I would recommend MAC. I think they're very highly trained in there. Another tip coming up in a while. Okay, the next one is stock. Now, what I mean by stock is try to establish in some way, how well they know their stock before they do your makeover or demonstrate the products to you. Now, I'm going to give you an example of this so that I can explain. I went last week to a lovely lady who really knew her stuff, and actually it was a really positive experience. And she was demonstrating some items to me. And she demonstrated one product, and I said, oh, I really like that. And she said, oh, I want that one. And she said, I'm really sorry, we haven't got that one in stock. She didn't suggest an alternative. And I immediately knew from there on in that I could trust her. Because I've been in scenarios where I have wanted a particular shade or a particular one. They go, oh, I don't think that would suit you, and blah, 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 blah. And I go, well, I'd like to see it anyway, just to kind of, settle my curiosity. And they go, we haven't got it in stock. And I immediately scoot away, because that tells me that I'm being recommended something, possibly, not necessarily, but possibly being recommended something because the thing that is suitable for me is not in stock. And what made me trust the lady that was seeing me last week is that when she said that, I realised that she hadn't checked what was in stock before she recommended products to me, which I would far rather prefer. That doesn't annoy me at all, because that means that what she has done is she's recommended products that will suit me regardless or not of whether she gets a sale. And that is someone to trust. So try and suss that out. And if they say, oh no, you don't want that one, you go with your list and you say, I've seen this shade and I think this might suit me, and they go, oh no, you don't want that one, it wouldn't suit you, what you want is this. Say, okay, and listen to it, and then say, but can I just have a look at that one? Right, and if I have you got that in stock, because I really do like it. And if they say no, then I would just view that recommendation with a bit more suspicion. Again, I'm probably teaching you the obvious, and you know, I've fallen for all these things, and it was just making the list that made me think about it all. So it's just about compiling that list. Okay, next one. Okay, again, this may sound really obvious, but do not make a decision about a product when you're tired, in pain, hungry, or you need the ladies. And I've done all of those things, and I can tell you that most of the products that I have that I've bought in a shop that are unsuitable for me have either been made when I'm desperate for the ladies but there's no disabled toilet, or I'm in pain, or the other one is feeling anxious, which again, I'm going to share this with you, not out of pity, but just in case any of you can relate to this. So maybe not specifically relate to it, but in terms of anxiety. So when you're at sea tight in a shop, in a department store, and it's very busy, you often are getting people leaning over you, and suddenly I feel very claustrophobic. And in those moments, the temptation is to pick the first thing up, go to the counter, pay for it, and get out. And that's when I make wrong decisions. I have made wrong decisions when I've been in pain, and I've made wrong decisions when I've been hungry, thirsty. Any of those things, do not make a decision, which leads me into the next two categories. One of the things that I have definitely changed, certainly since I've been in a mobility scooter, and this is in every aspect of my life, is planning. I can't be spontaneous. I can't go into a shop, and don't get the violins out and say, pour me, pour me a drink. I love that saying. But it's taught me to plan, and it's a really good strategy for shopping. So what I would do is, if I'm planning to do a makeup shop and I've got an idea in my mind about what I want, I will write down the order in which I want them. So like, what is the most important thing I'm going for? And what's the least important thing I'm going for? The thing that, you know, if I don't manage to get to, it doesn't really matter. I can order it online, or I know what it looks like anyway. And that way, so say, you know, I really want to check out a foundation, but it's between two shades and I really can't decide online. And I want to get that because I need it. Then that will be number one on my list. And I will go into that department store and head straight for that counter. And that will be the first thing that I do. And then in order of what I want, I will gradually work my way through. And then, by all means, you know, have a few spontaneous buys on the way out. But you know then that you've got the products, you've had time to think about them, You've not needed the toilet. The ladies' room. You have not needed, I know in America people don't say toilet, do they? You've not needed the powder room or the ladies' room. You've not needed to drink. You've not needed to eat. You're not in pain. You've just arrived. You are at your optimum for picking the product that is most important to you. And it may sound screamingly obvious, but it wasn't obvious to me until I had to plan my life around dropped curbs and whether there's steps into a shop. It just wasn't something I ever thought about until I had to plan everything else. So I'm just bringing it out into your consciousness. Okay, so make sure that you do that. Okay, so the last thing for shopping in store. If you're not sure about a product, this you need to have a cooling off period. Right now, with foundations, I would always suggest that you asked if you can just go outside to look at yourself in a daylight, because the lighting in stores is dreadful. It's really artificial and you really can't get an idea of what you're going to look like. The other thing I've started to do recently, because going outside is going to be a bit of a drag for some people, especially if you've got mobility problems, is I take a photograph of myself, and I look at it, because often things that you don't pick up. I put some concealer in these lines earlier on today, and I blended it in and it looked fine in the mirror, but I took a photograph, a selfie, and I could see the line still. It is a really good way, take one with and without a flash and look at yourself in that photograph, because you will have a kind of point of reference, because you'll have seen selfies of yourself before and you will know what looks good on you on a photograph. So even if you can't get outside, you can do that. Right, some other things I forgot to mention earlier about makeup. So you may already know this, but don't ever swatch foundation on the back of your hand, because the back of your hand is a completely different colour. Another little tip I picked up recently on a YouTube channel, I think it was Jeffree Star, said that if you want to see what a lipstick looks like here on you, it's better to swatch on your fingertip than on the back of your hand. Or just ask them to disinfect the product and actually try it on your lips if you feel comfortable doing that. Okay. I missed loads out watching this back. The other thing that department stores don't always tell you, but is often available, is that they can give you 8-day supply of a foundation for you to take home with you and try. But you have to know that and ask them if they do that service, because they often don't volunteer it. So definitely ask if you can do that. So if in doubt, cooling off period. And that would apply, like, ask yourself, am I in pain? Am I tired? Am I hungry? Am I this? Do I just want to get out of this store? Is this what this decision is about? Or is it because I actually really like it? And that can help you to decide on a product, okay? Okay, so we're now going to move to online purchases. And actually, I've probably done this video. I might turn it back to front, because you probably need to know some of these things before you go and shop. You do need to know these things because, as I've said, you should research before you go. Now, I want to talk about foundations because it is a bit of a minefield. So let me first talk to you about MAC foundations, because you will often hear people saying what shade they are in MAC. It's kind of the yardstick that people tend to measure all other foundations on, is what shade are you in MAC. And you will see in my description bar where I explain my my complexion, I always say I'm NC35 or NC30 possibly in the winter, to give people an idea. And most makeup artists, whether they work for Benefit, whether they work for Too Faced, whether they work for Becca, they will be able to tell you which shade matches a MAC foundation because it is so widely known. But herein lies the problem, and I need to explain it. Now, you've heard me saying in the past, and if you're just joining me today, I would say that my skin is neutral, warm, neutral, kind of olivey, warm, right? And I'll talk to you about skin tones in a minute. But then when you go down and you look at my foundation shade in MAC, it says NC35. And N stands for neutral and C stands for cool. And you think, but she said she was neutral warm. Why isn't she an NW something? Okay. Now, this is the big anomaly. And I've been looking this up because I wanted to get my facts straight. I know why it is the way it is, but I don't know the background to it. And I might have got this wrong, but so I've done a bit of research. MAC foundation was started, MAC makeup was started for professionals. And foundations are supposed to kind of complement your skin tone. So if you are a warm undertone, you wouldn't go and put more warmth on your skin. You would balance that out by making it slightly cooler. Okay? Now, makeup artists know this, and therefore, when MAC are talking about neutral cool or neutral warm, they're not talking about your skin tone. They are talking about the foundation, what the shade of foundation is, because it was initially marketed towards professional makeup artists. So they're telling them, if you buy this foundation, it is neutral cool. But neutral cool is what you would use on a neutral warm undertone. Now, the difficulty comes that if you understand that you are a neutral cool, that you go off somewhere else and buy a foundation for a cool undertone, and actually you would get the wrong shade, because every other foundation, as far as I know, is about your skin tone and not about the foundation. Does that make sense? So if you are neutral cool in MAC, it means that you've got some warm undertones, neutral to warm undertones, which means that when you're shopping elsewhere for a foundation, you need to be looking for a foundation for neutral to warm undertones. And if you're an NW, neutral warm something, in MAC, it means you need to do the opposite. And when you go to another foundation, you need to be looking for a foundation with cool undertones, neutral to cool undertones. So I was trying to explain that so that you understand, because I think when people understand why that is, then they're more likely to get their head round it. So when MAC are talking about their foundation shades, they are talking about the undertone of the foundation, and everybody else is talking about the undertone of your skin. All right? Okay. Okay, undertones and foundation. I've mentioned this in a previous video. There are lots of online resources. But firstly, you do need to know your undertone. And the way that you find this out is there's a number of ways. But if you look at the veins in your wrist, have a look at them. If they look blue, then you are a cool undertone. If they look green, then you are a warm undertone. And if, like me, you can't really tell, they're sort of a bit bluey and a bit greeny, then you are a neutral undertone, but you could have neutral to something else. Now, the other way that you can tell is by the kind of jewellery you wear. If you look better in gold jewellery, then you are more likely to have a warm undertone to your skin. If you look better in silver jewellery, then you're more likely to have a cool undertone in your skin. And if you suit both silver and gold equally, then you are neutral. Okay? So that gives you a starting point. I just wanted to put an example on in here. Recently, I bought a foundation that matches my skin perfectly, and it is completely neutral. And it got me wondering about whether or not, when I'm going for sort of warmer foundation, so the more NC, which as we've established is warm, it's a cooler foundation, but it's a cooler foundation. Whether I'm actually treating my skin as too warm, because what often I find is I can put on a foundation and it washes me out. and I do wonder, because I have got an olive complexion, and yes, I'm half Indian, but it's not that warm. It's not as warm as I think some of the foundations that are made for kind of NC or for warm complexions counteract. So when you buy a foundation for a warm complexion, it's designed to cool it down a bit more, but maybe it's cooling mine down a bit too much, which is why it's looking pale. And so what I do is I go up a shade rather than actually looking at the undertone. Do you see what I mean? So it can get really complicated because it's a spectrum, and we're all on a spectrum. I would very much doubt that there's that many people that could say that they're purely neutral, or they're purely cool, or they're purely warm, and no other undertone. We're all on a spectrum. We've all got different shades in between, and it's about the degree of it, which is why often mixing foundations works so well, because you can kind of fine tune it to your complexion. But it's made me think about moving a little bit away from the warm spectrum in terms of choosing a foundation, and going a little bit more towards neutral to cools to warm up my complexion. Okay, if that makes sense. I hope it does. Please ask me questions if it doesn't. Okay, so most people have got a combination of their neutral something else, or there's a combination. It's never that simple. Now, there are a few foundation sites out there. There's one called, one of you told me about one called Foundation, I think it's called. And I had a look at that. I wasn't that keen on that one because it didn't have that many foundations compared to Temptalia, which is the one that I use. So I'm going to take you through the steps that I do when I'm choosing a foundation online. Okay, first of all, I go to a foundation that I know matches my skin very well, that I have at home. So if you've got one that you have at home that really matches your skin well, then that's a really good start. If not, don't worry, because you can still start from scratch on Temptalia. Then what I would do is I go to Temptalia, I'll put all the links below. I'll put in, so for me, a really good match is MAC Pro Longwear Waterproof Foundation in NC35. And I put that one in, and it finds that foundation for me. And then I put in find my foundation, and then filter it by brand. And then I look up the one that I'm looking for, and it will give me 2 or 3 suggestions with percentages of what people have actually voted. Was this a good match or not? I don't stop there though. When I've actually whittled it down to 1 or 2 or 3 that they're suggesting, I then Google those shades. So I put swatch, I don't know, swatch Armani Power Fabric Foundation 7.5. And then an image will come up on the screen. And then I might look at the shades either side of it so that I can look. It's very difficult to look at an online image and match it to what you've got in your hand, because you'll probably notice that with each image in different lighting they can look very different, but it gives you another idea. And I forgot another step that I take when I'm still not sure, and this is really useful, is if you put in the shade that you think you might match to and the brand into the search engine of YouTube, then a beauty reviewer that's not only reviewing that foundation but is likely to be the same shade comes up, because it will actually search for that shade name. Obviously check in the description bar that she or he has put that shade there, but normally when you search for a shade name and the brand, then the first review to come up is normally a person that is wearing that shade. So it gives you another idea. You know, you can look and see, is their skin tone similar to mine? Okay. Now there are some sites, like Daniel Sandler is brilliant, in that he sells foundation samples for £2. You get a little bottle and you can try it out at home before you buy the full size. Charlotte Tilbury, she didn't do this with the new shade 6.75, but normally with her regular foundations, if you buy, say you buy a shade 5 in Magic Foundation, she will send you a sample of shade 4.5 or 4, I don't know. She'll send you on either side, so probably 4.5, 5 and 6, right, with your full size of shade 5. And then you can try out those 3 shade samples before you open the packet. So if you're in the UK and you can't send things back that you've opened, I know there's different rules in different countries, but that's the way to do it. Is with MAC it's not so simple. You've just got to buy it. You just have to check out. Another thing is there are some various sites, eBay, there are various people that sell samples online. They buy up big bottles of foundation and they'll sell you a sample for something like $4.95, and so you can order those. I've seen that. I haven't actually purchased from them, but they seem to get good feedback. They're all, you know, I look for the 100% positive reviews, so you can do that. And yeah, or you can go into a shop first and try them out and then come home and order online, or vice versa. But I would definitely recommend that you kind of narrow it down to 2 or 3 before, if you're going shopping, all right? And if you can, do that research before going shopping or buying online, okay? Now, I've talked a lot about foundations, but of course there's other makeup, and you might be looking and thinking, I don't know if I'm going to suit that red lipstick. There are quite a few phone apps that you can, you know, these ones where you can kind of filter your skin and stuff like that, people do on Instagram. You can actually superimpose different lipstick shades and you can change the colouring to get it just the same as the lipstick, so that you can actually look. And there are other apps where they've actually got brands and you can select, say, Dior shade 3 in their lip gloss and it will superimpose it on your face. Urban Decay do that with their lipsticks. So if you go onto Urban Decay's site and you look up a lipstick, most of them, the ones that are only available online exclusively, you can't. But with all the others, you can download a picture of yourself and then try it on. And I think Sephora does that as well, so that you can actually see what it's going to look like on your skin tone. I just wanted to end this video to say that whether you're buying online or in a shop, I think the most important thing that you need is to feel a bit confident, to have confidence. Makeup isn't all about do's and don'ts, even though I know I've gone through a load of rules today. The most important thing is it's an expression of you, and your personality. And the thing that I love, and I always want to cry when I say this because it makes me very emotional, but the thing that I love about makeup is it still makes me feel like me, throughout all the changes that I've been through, you know, losing my mobility and being in a mobility scooter and not standing anymore and not being able to wear certain shoes. And I say it's not poor me, but it makes you feel like you're a different person. You know, the clothes that I used to wear, the style that I used to have, all of those things make me feel like I've changed. And yet inside, I still feel the same. And what I like about makeup is it's a way of expressing who I am, that I'm still me. I'm still me, and this is who I am. You know, I love plums, I love pinks, I love I love nice makeup. I love certain colours and whatever. And if someone said to me, oh, I don't really think plum suits you, yeah, you know, you've got the sort of skin actually that suit blue eye makeup. I'm not saying that they'd say that, but you know, it's about having the confidence to say, well, thank you for that, but actually this is what makes me feel confident. Because at the end of the day, you can have all the makeup artists in the world telling you, or the most experienced salespeople or experts telling you, don't wear that, ditch that, ditch that, ditch that. But if you step out the door and you don't feel confident in what you're wearing, or it's not something that you like, then you're not going to carry it off. And I mean, okay, you could balance that out and say that actually sometimes we all need to step out of our comfort zone a bit. And when I've done that, I've been surprised. But I also want to keep hold of me. So when I shop for makeup, whether it's online or in store, I will look at, you know, what is it that gets me excited? You know, what's the one that I'll go for? I'm not thinking, oh, I don't know a lot about makeup. I better ask her if she thinks that'll suit me. I will ask her if she thinks it suits me, but I'm going with my decision first. And then secondly, I can take advice on whether she thinks it will suit me. But it's that first instinct, that first feeling of, oh, that's a gorgeous colour. And if you think that's a gorgeous colour, then you are more likely to carry that colour off, okay? Regardless of what anyone else says. So if you really, really like something, do not be deterred from buying it because of some stupid rule, or because they haven't got it in stock, you know? Hang on for the thing that you like, because makeup is an expression of you. And please, please, I know I've said it before, but don't get into a habit of makeup shopping to cover up things that you feel you want to cover up, because then you're only actually expressing what you want to hide and not you. And makeup is about you, and that's why I get so enthusiastic, because makeup makes me feel like me, the me that I was 20 years old, the me that was 30 years old, the me that's there all the time throughout all the changes, whether physically, emotionally, or whether in a different house. That obviously I've adapted my makeup, but there's certain things that will always get me excited, certain colours, certain textures, and hang on to that, because that's you, okay? And if that's what you want and that's what makes you feel confident, then go for it, right? And you can adapt it around things that you want to adapt it around, but go for it, all right? Have confidence and say, that's me, that colour's me, and that's the one that I want. okay? And then think about how you're going to wear it. Okay, most of all, please have some fun and enjoy your purchases. And I hope this has been helpful, and I hope nobody thinks I'm sort of insulting their intelligence, because that really isn't my aim. It's just to give you some tips I've learned along the way. And please do leave your tips for me, because I'm sure there's loads of things I haven't thought about. All right, take care, and I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye. Just a little postscript that made me laugh. I've just been doing the description of my video and doing the products that I used. And as I got to the description of my lipstick, I started giggling, because I am a bit worried that this video came across as a bit matriarchal. And the lipstick that I have on today is called Lady Boss. All right, take care, and I will see you soon. Bye.